Good afternoon. The time's 4 p.m. This is a regularly scheduled meeting of the Public Safety Committee. I'm your chair, Dan Syme, and I am joined by my vice chair, Councilwoman Tammy Hawkins. Today I'm joined by the following committee members: Councilman Ken Herndon, Councilwoman Shamika Parrish-Wright, Councilwoman Anthony Piagentini, Councilwoman Betsy Rui, Councilwoman Jenny Mulvey Woolridge, and online we have Dr. Barbara Shanklin, and we have committee member Jonathan Joseph. Clerk, will you please read the virtual meeting language?
This meeting is being held pursuant to KR 61.826 and Council Rule 5A, read in full.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. We have 4 items on the agenda that include 3 pieces of legislation. Please note that item 3 and 4 will be held at the request of the sponsors until further notice. We will hear item number 2R-029-25 following the presentation by Director Jody Myman. Director Myman is here to discuss extreme weather situations and emergency preparedness. Director Myman, please come forward, state your name and title for the record, and you may begin.
All right. Well, thank you all very much for having us today. It's always a pleasure to come over, and I see some new faces as well. So we'll go through some different parts of our agency. Obviously, you know, with the weather events over the last couple of weeks, the timing couldn't be any more or any better for us to come over here and discuss these things a little bit. And then I do have an ask for some help at the end of it too. So, you know, I'll wait for that at the end. But, you know, and I apologize as well because I know I was scheduled to do this 2 weeks ago, but we were in Eastern Kentucky helping those 10 counties out down there that got hit hard. So I do apologize, but appreciate the support there. So just for those of you who don't know and are new to the council, I am Jody Myman. I'm the Executive Director for Louisville Metro Emergency Services. This is Kelly Jones, the Deputy Director for Emergency Services. And we're a very diverse agency as far as the things that we do and the things that we encompass. We obviously have our 911 Communication Center. Our center takes about 1.3 million average 911 calls a year. All the 911 calls in Jefferson County come to our center. We have Louisville Metro EMS, the Louisville Metro Emergency Management. Obviously, I'm the emergency manager for the county. Kelly's the deputy. All 120 counties in the state of Kentucky have a county emergency manager and deputy. 311, which I know help you all out quite a bit, and we're still working to hire more people so that we can help you all expedite your requests through 311 with some liaisons that are in the 311 area and work there now. The Office of Special Events, that was given to us in 2017, especially after the events in Las Vegas and the shooting that happened there, to assure that from our office we can focus a lot or more on the public safety and the security that goes on with all the events. So every permit or every special event that comes in and out of Jefferson County and the city of Louisville gets permitted through our office. Something I did fail to put on the presentation, I apologize, is something we're very proud of, and it's our mental health deflection program that we started a couple years ago. We've made great strides. It was a slow process, but we have just expanded within the last year to 24 hours a day, and we've just recently in the last month expanded to the entire Jefferson County, so not just the Louisville Metro Police Department. We're encompassing, you know, every bit of Jefferson County, including the small city police departments as well. So we rolled that out last month, and we'll have continued data. Probably it'd be a good time to report on that data when we come in for the Budget Committee hearing. It will be about 5 months in, so we'll have some good data on that. Just some important things that we manage. Our emergency operations plan for the county, that has to be updated yearly. For the most part, it stays the same, but we do make some updates. We have to report that to the Kentucky Emergency Management Agency every year. We also have a 5-year hazard mitigation plan that we help. We have an outside contractor come in to review that and develop that with all the stakeholders throughout Jefferson County and the city of Louisville. We do all the disaster response. We're the overall coordinating agency when it comes to disaster response here to bring everybody together. If you haven't heard, we did declare a disaster yesterday for the events of 2 weeks ago because we did meet the county's financial threshold. So we turned that into state emergency management. So we're collecting all the documentation, passing that on, getting that in the proper channels, and then to get federal funding to get reimbursed for all the projects that and the damage that happened here in the last couple of weeks. And then we also, with continuity of government and continuity of operations, we manage that. Now, big thing, and what we get into, and I know that this is what I've come to ask, is we have our Lens Alert. We're very proud. We set a goal last year to double the amount of people that have signed up for our Lens Alert, and we made it. We went from 36,000 to over 78,000 people that have signed up for our Lens Alert within the last year. So unfortunately, it's because we've had so many weather emergencies and we've had so many different things that we've been able to get in front of the public and educate them on this. But we're very proud that we've been able to double that. There's still a lot of people in Jefferson County that hasn't signed up for Lens Alert. So, that's where at the end of this, I'll throw some ideas out and see if we can get you all to help us out with that a little bit. Smart 911 is an enhancement of our Lens Alert. So our Lens Alert system, it is where you sign up, you pick the emergency notifications that you want. Smart 911 is where the citizen goes in and they actually fill out a Smart 911 profile. When that happens, you can put information in there, and it's very secure. You can put information in there as obviously where you live, your medications you take if you've got pets, if you've got family members, if you've got special needs, if you live alone, you don't have a ride, if you're on oxygen, there's a lot of different bits of information that you can put in there that can help us in case of an evacuation, in case of a disaster where we need to reach the public very quickly. The benefit to this is if the public or the citizen calls in or they call 911 from the device they enter into this portal, all that information populates on the 911 call taker's computer screen. So it saves time that they have to ask that individual those questions. And it's proven to save lives already here in Jefferson County. There was a gentleman that was in a fire. He couldn't speak because he was in a smoke-filled room, and all they were able to say was, "Are you at home? Are you at your home address?" And he was able to get yes out. They sent the fire department and ended up saving his life. Another instance or another situation that helped was a woman was in a domestic violence situation. She was locked in her closet. The perpetrator was in the house. A good feature at this as well is it's got a text back feature, so the person couldn't talk, but we were able to enable a text back feature and get the information that we needed to send help, and they were able to keep her safe as well. So, we always encourage you to invite us to your community meetings. We love getting out. One of the success stories that has helped us, and we're not finished with it, to do the signups that we've had and the number that we've gotten over the last year, is we've partnered with Kroger. So we've been in your neighborhoods for the last year at different Kroger locations, signing people up for the Lens Alert system. One of the things that we've talked about in our office is to get you to think about, especially coming from the Public Safety Committee and then the entire council, every member, is to identify, if you could help us identify people in your neighborhoods, what we would call potentially ambassadors that could help us get information from the public and then information to the public. So we're looking for, people that, that are HOAs or people that are over neighborhoods or know their neighborhood. They may not be over a neighborhood or a voting member of a neighborhood, but somebody that knows the neighborhood that can help us come out, meet with our employees that can visit these people. And, we're really looking for to help put, like I said, special needs individuals that when we have situations that go on, we know that we need to help that population first. And we can query that in the 911 system. So, I'll be reaching out to you all, like I said, and we'll come out and help sign these people up. We'll walk streets. It's going to take some time. We know that. But, all the way from north to south to east to west, we want to try to get all the participation from the council members to help. You all know your neighborhoods better than anybody does. So if and I know you've got individuals that, you can count on to help get information, and we'd like to meet those individuals too, because if we have a widespread disaster, in the county. And, we go out to help other counties when they're in need, because there's going to be a day where potentially we may need help as well. But if we can, minimize that by getting these individuals that you all know within your community to help us get that information for critical needs that are in your community, we'd greatly appreciate that. And then one of the other cool things that's coming up soon is we're developing our own app. It's going to be a one-stop shop. What I'd like to do is create our own ready.gov that people can go to, and everything emergency response, disaster response. People, when we have a disaster, that people are getting individual assistance from FEMA or from other entities. We can put that information out, but it's a one-stop shop. So that's going to be coming in the next several months, to be able to help us with the community as well. But again, we'll need your help getting that out. We'll be developing QR codes that you can take to your meetings, where people can actually download that app to get information from us. So with that, I'll take any questions.
Have anybody in the queue?
Does that mean everybody's in?
I have a question. You mentioned the declaration of emergency.
Yes, sir.
We had a Mitchell Hill Road, I'm sure you know about. Is
Yes,
that
sir.
going to help pay for that?
Yes, sir. That's actually what put us over our threshold. So our documentation unit leader that's managing that, along with Public Works, they're on top of that one. Yes, sir.
So we are going to be able to repair it?
Yes, our hope is to be able to do that.
Okay. Another question. Dams. We
Yes, sir.
have dam situations. We're trying to, when we hear about a breach, everybody's running left, right, north, south. They don't know where it's coming. Or where are we at on mitigation and helping people to prepare, and letting them know maybe how much water could be coming out if we had a breach, or who's going to be have direct impact because of a breach? Where are we at on that?
Right. So actually, the Department of Parks and Recreation is managing the $700,000, I believe, that was appropriated for this budget, and they've got a contractor in that's been. They actually just released the. I've got it right here, actually. The Tom Wallace Dam, that just got released to them back, I think, Monday this week. So they're taking a look at that. There was that one, and then the Mitchell Hill Road Dam was two of the high hazard dams that they started off with. So the contractor has identified those as two of the major ones that need repair, and I know some of the front money or the money that was appropriated is going to go towards those two. And then on our side, we've got the hazard mitigation plan, where that contractor that I mentioned earlier has come in and they've identified low, medium, and high hazard dams. And then we're responsible for the community notification. So we've got two ways. We've got our Lens Alert, but again, as I mentioned, that's only as good as the people that have signed up for it. But if we have an immediate need to let people know what's going on, we can do what we did out on Applegate Lane, and we can set something up with our IPAWS alert, our integrated public alert and warning system, and that's going to go to everybody whether they've signed up or not. So we can touch everybody within the area that, if there's a situation that we need to get them out, evacuate, or just give them some information about what's going on.
One of my concerns too is the plan. Like I said, we had people at the South Park, and we had a breach, and people on the other side of the water, they thought that they were going to be impacted when most likely they were not going to be, but yet they were scared.
Right.
And those are the things. I mean, we need a plan drawn up for these. What would happen if we had a breach? Are you going to go under? What's the probability?
Right, so we would let them know again with that IPAWS alert, because that's going to go to everybody. Depending on with the magnitude of the breach, we can go door to door, depending on how long it's going to take. That was a smaller leak at the South Park dam, so I'm not going to say it wasn't serious, but it wasn't as serious as a major breach. So, we had some time to go door to door to those neighbors. So we've got several different things in place with our emergency operations plan, and several suggestions in that hazard mitigation plan that we can notify the public. And there's also inundation plans that were done to show if the amount of water that's in those dams was released, where they would actually go.
Thank you, Mr. Myman.
Thank you.
Councilwoman Parrish Wright.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you for your presentation, and my team and office will do our part to make sure more of our constituents in District 3 are signed up for the Lens Alert. We get a lot of questions because we have a great part of our district that has a bunch of unincorporated areas, and those folks are asking, what services they qualify for, what they don't. They're also asking about EMS issues and response times. Is there any way that you can help us dial in, with a one-pager or something of what's available to those folks that are in the unincorporated areas?
Absolutely, and maybe we can talk offline about what exact information you're interested in, and we'll be glad to get that information for you. And we can also, I'm glad you brought that up too, we can also identify how many people have signed up for Lens Alert in each of your council districts, so you can know that as well. So that's some information we can get to you all sometime in the next few weeks.
Nobody else in the queue? Okay. Council, I'm not getting any on here. Councilwoman Mulvey Woolridge, please.
Thank you. Thank you for the presentation. So I understand the ask is for, the signups for areas of needs and understanding that, right? Am I correct? Is there any other asks that you're needing?
No, just we need, like I said, I reference them as like ambassadors of your district, people that know the neighborhoods, know the people in their neighborhoods. Different groups or, different council districts are going to break them down in different ways. There's some that actually have neighborhood associations where some may not. So it's up to us working with you all to see how you all want to break your districts down. So like I said, it's going to take some time, but this is our goal for the next year.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Councilman Piagentini? Councilwoman Hawkins?
First, I'd like to say thanks for being here today, and thanks for all that both of you do. Your department is vital to the city, and to see a department sit here and understand that you all are coming up with different programs that will help you be a better department, that speaks volume. So whatever you need from me and Jody, you all came out. I was pulling up and was about to call you, when the trees hit down in District 1, and you all just jumped all over it. So just keep doing what you're doing. The city needs you all, and, I'm here for an advocate, and whatever all you need from my office, you have my support.
Thank you.
Councilman Ken Herndon, please.
Yes, sir. Thank you again for coming today. I just want to let you know we are in the process. I'm new, 2 months in tomorrow, so I'm in the process of doing a triage of the 10 associations and community councils in our neighborhood, determining their level of functionality. And once we get that in place and get those names and contact information together, we would really enjoy working with you on
That'd
this
be great.
program.
Thank you.
No members in the queue. Would you have any more questions or comments? That would be it. Thank you, Mr.
Thank you all.
Lyman.
We'll be in touch.
Appreciate your time.
Thank you all. Oh, and for the new members, you're more than welcome to come over and visit. We would love to have you, so.
Clerk, would you please read item number 2 in the record, please?
A resolution urging Louisville Metro government to formally acknowledge the documented harms of the Louisville Metro Police Department and to encourage the Louisville Metro Police Department to build trust in the community. Read in full.
There a motion?
Motion?
Second. The item's been properly moved by committee members. Councilwoman Shamika Parrish-Wright is the sponsor of this legislation. Councilwoman, you do have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Colleagues, I also want to thank Councilman J.P. Leninger, who also signed on to co-sponsor. For the record, I sent out an email to I don't want to have a long, drawn-out back and forth, but this is the second time we've had this resolution, not in this committee. The first committee it passed out of, and it died at the full body. I'm reintroducing this at the request of the communities and the groups that I'm in touch with and that have asked me to do this. So I've refiled the People's Consent Decree resolution, and I'm asking for your support. And again, I want to thank the chair, Dan Syme, for allowing to consider this item. This is a piece of legislation that brings in community voices and would be incredibly meaningful if it's passed. It will be especially meaningful because it will be on the agenda on March 13th, which marks 5 years since the murder of Breonna Taylor. Our purpose with this resolution is to recognize and honor the work of countless folks in our community dedicated to making our city better, and to let everyone know we are listening and are committed to working together. Since this was in new business, the public is aware. People have been reaching out about it in great support. People will show up because they want this to represent the opportunity to have acknowledgement so we all can start the healing process. A true apology is changed behavior. Your support of this resolution does not mean you hate LMPD or are working against our police department. Many within LMPD acknowledge the documented and undocumented harms. They have reached out. They have been a part of this process. This resolution is also good for the business community, who many feel are caught up in what's next for our city, especially with the departure of major commerce entities. If we do this together, it shows that now, almost 5 years later, we have listened and taken action. Our mayor and police chief have indicated that they are working on a great deal of items included in this legislation, and that is great. This resolution does not take away from their ongoing work or efforts. It adds a community voice to it. My goal is to get it through committee and to have it move forward next week on March 13th. Many of you have expressed that you are ready to move forward. This is a collective pathway to do that in a resolute way. Our constituents are watching. Together, we have hundreds of thousands of people in Louisville who more than likely want us to grow and heal. We get there together. And I want to, besides thanking JP Leninger as joining as co-sponsor and the fact that we've been here before and we passed out a committee, the acknowledgement and recognition is what folks are asking for. And even when we introduced it before, I met with the mayor's office, and I told the mayor that we are more than amenable to have a list of anything that they would want to be included as far as if they've accomplished it or they're working on it, because we want to work in coalition with them as well. So resolutions are important to who they're important to. It may not be important to some of you because you don't feel the same way or you're not as impacted. But many struggle to understand what's next. While our consent decree process is still ongoing and we don't know when that will happen, this doesn't take away from that. I had a very extensive conversation with Marcus Winkler earlier about this and so many other folks. And I'm reminded that people have asked for this. People have asked for this because they don't feel like, even with the consent decree from the DOJ, that there's many missing stories and voices that will never be heard. And this resolution means that we have said, hey, we want to work together. The last thing I'll ask is people from the Explorer program, from many harms that have happened through LMPD, have reached out and been a part of these processes and feel unheard and left out and feel like there was no recognition of them. I was a part of this work in 2020, so way before I came on council. I definitely know that this is a heavy burden that I carry every time I come to council, because people only see me as someone who is working on police reform, but that's not the only thing that I'm interested in. But when I have a community and constituents and people asking me, hey, how are we going to make sure that we're actually doing everything we can so that we don't repeat the same behaviors? So I'm just asking for your support to get this out of committee. It doesn't cost any money. It is non-binding. It's went through the processes with our county prosecutors twice. It's been updated for form to include the new positions that our President Ackerson, which is good to see him here, as well as the other people that are connected to it. and I'm just asking for support, and I can answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Seeing the queue here, Councilman Piagentini, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So I do have a few questions for the sponsor. I do take, just to be clear, I take objection to, and I think they're not accurate, many of the statements in the resolution, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and a few others. But I want to sort of focus on one particular section that I have questions about. And it starts on page 3, section 2. Louisville Metro Council urges that community stakeholders, meaning those who have been directly harmed by the LMPD and those working in social services, and advocacy groups, including, there's a bunch of advocacy groups mentioned, I'll highlight a few, the Urban League, ACLU of Kentucky, Change Today, et cetera, and many more, be consulted monthly during the consent decree negotiations. The last organization mentioned is Vocal Kentucky. Don't you work for Vocal Kentucky?
Yes, I work for Vocal Kentucky. Vocal Kentucky was a part of this coalition before I even became a council member. But also to note, as I've checked with lawyers and ethics on this, that we are a membership advocacy-led organization. Our members and leaders are who lead our work, and they are directly impacted. I am the executive director, so I manage the team that carries out the work of the membership. We also do not receive any city or state funding. We also will not benefit in any way, financially or any other way, if this resolution is passed. So that was a question that came up. I've been really good about my ethical guidelines. I have a great deal of experience around that, and there is no ethical issues with that. The members of Vocal Kentucky participated in some of those meetings that were held. They also have been participating with the DOJ as they've held their community meetings. But as far as any other connections, that is it. But yes.
So to be clear, right, when you say you work for it, you're the leader of the organization, Vocal Kentucky, is that correct?
We are a membership and leader-led organization. We're a nonprofit advocacy organization. I am the director who manages the staff of Vocal Kentucky. I do not lead the organization.
So which is it? You are the executive director of Vocal Kentucky, correct?
Yes, I am.
Okay. So you mentioned ethics. So do you have an ethics opinion from the Ethics Commission on this?
I don't have the official ethics opinion in front of me, but we did have a conversation about this and to make sure that it met those guidelines, and I met with other legal consults. Yes.
Sorry, a conversation with whom?
I don't have that in front of me, but I did have conversations around the ethics parts of this. And that Vocal being a part of one of the many organizations that have been a part of this is just one small piece of that does not affect this resolution. And if that is a problem, if this body sees it as a problem, I have no problem removing Vocal Kentucky from it. But we didn't see the need to remove Vocal since this was for members. It's a membership and leadership-led organization that does not benefit, profit, or anything else from this.
But Vocal Kentucky has donors, correct?
Vocal Kentucky has people that donate to the organization, yes.
And Vocal Kentucky has positions on certain issues, right?
Vocal Kentucky is an advocacy organization.
Right.
And people asked us to support all kinds of things. The Urban League has asked us, people at state level, congressional level. So yes, we're asked about where our members stand on issues, yes.
So are you familiar with this document? With this
Yes.
folder? Yeah. So this was handed out to council members 2 council meetings ago, and these are some of the documents that were inside, right? Which includes policy positions that you all are advocating for around housing, government support and care for unhoused people, right? These are positions that incarceration, policies around incarceration, these are all things that we would vote on here as council members, right?
Again, I was in Texas when this happened, and this was passed out through the member and leadership, and I had no idea it was coming here, but it was also given to all of our state elected leaders at the state level, both Republican, Democrat, and other. That is the organization's attempt to introduce themselves. I had nothing to do with that, but we have issues that come across our desk, that come across our table that people ask about. We have members who are directly impacted by all of those issues, including policing issues, and so they choose the agenda on how we perform. So yes.
So you're the leader of the organization, but you have nothing to do with not only policy positions, but there was a fundraising letter in here. You're asking for us to raise money, and you handed it to council members.
I did not, sir. I did not ask for us to raise money we don't receive any city money and state money. We haven't asked for that. That is general information they gave you about the organization. It's a one-pager that goes out that's at every table and event. That's what happens. We pass out information about our organization. Whether people choose to engage or stay connected, that information is there for different ways that they can do that. We have not ever petitioned the city of Louisville for any funding, and we had no intentions on doing so.
Right, but I guess the question is, so for example, coming back to the resolution, do you think it's proper that, I mean, there's 26 of us here, we all work for, or many of us work for other organizations or sit on boards or advocate for other organizations, et cetera. Would it be appropriate that we pass or attempt to pass legislation sponsored by those individuals that then give them some authority over government policy? Because, look, I guess it sums up to this question. If Vocal Kentucky has a seat at the table on monitoring the consent decree, but you are the executive director of Vocal Kentucky, but you're also a council person, right? 30,000 people-ish, right, you represent. Well, how do we know, and how does anybody know, if you're speaking on behalf of Vocal Kentucky when you're talking about this, or if you're speaking on behalf of your constituents?
I see how this issue is important to you, as you were just in ethics issues because of your decision to do what you need to do. I want to be clear that I have not at any point muddied the water with any of this. We are separate. If the group as an organization decides that they want to be outside and protest as members and leaders, that is their right. There's Robert's Rules of Orders, there's constitutional law that tells me what my duty to do as an elected official. I know how to recuse myself. I've served on many boards and been appointed to the Human Relations Commission. I know how to recuse myself if I need to do that. What I'm saying to you is that before all of this came to be, the Vocal Kentucky was a part of the original coalition, of the original work that has happened around the People's Consent Decree. Because of that, and because members and leaders are a part of that, that's why they are included. If the problem is that the name Vocal is included, that's something we can discuss. But there's been no unethical issues or ethical issues with me in my performance as a councilwoman and as director of Vocal, and I've been very clear about that.
Well, a couple things. First of all, the only body, and even the county attorney would agree with me because they've stated it over and over again, that has been imbued the power to interpret that is actually the Ethics Commission, right? And, you know, as an example, right, I mean, since you brought up my past, I did abstain from the vote that had to do with the organization where that came up. But you're sponsoring this and want us to vote on it. And again, I'm just coming back to, like, how do we know who you're representing here, right? So, look, you know, this is not a question of, like, I'm not the Ethics Commission. We're not adjudicating that right now. I'm just telling you, as a colleague on this committee, I don't know how I could possibly vote on something where I don't know whether my colleague is representing the organization that they represent in their private life or if they're representing their constituents, right? So, and, you know, again, we can back up and start debating the merits of incorrect statements like LMPD unlawfully executes search warrants without knocking or announcing, considering we banned that years ago. So, I mean, so I can go back to the factually inaccurate statements, but I just don't know how I can continue moving forward, or my colleagues can on this, when I just don't know which voice you're speaking with when you're speaking about this issue. So, thank you, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Chair, may I make a comment?
Yeah.
Thank you. I'll be quick as possible. Councilman Piagentini, I think that you are talking about different things at one time. The original legislation that was put forth included the accepted report of the University of Louisville's history of policing. Those were their findings and recommendations. It also included the findings of the DOJ, which has been widely accepted. Both of these things have been on LMPD's website. They've been accepted all over. The last part of that was the People's Consent Decree, the coalition of over 100 organizations that came together and took the stories and the surveys from hundreds of people who said that these were the main issues that came up for them. None of these are Shamika Parrish Wright's direct words or direct accusations or any of that. This is a formal way to recognize all of these things that have been accepted and acknowledged, and they're being worked on, if that's what's happening. When this went through the committee process before, these same issues did not come up. It was more about what's already happened, what didn't happen. I said that I'm more than amenable to the mayor's office or whoever who's been working on these specific issues to add something that says we accomplished this then, we accomplished this there. That happened in 2020. I wasn't elected until the end of 2023. So whatever could have happened then should have happened before I even got here. But when I got here, I was asked to do this to formally acknowledge it because there's no formal acknowledgement through this body that this happened and these are the things that we're trying to do. Again, this is a non-binding resolution that has went through the same county attorneys you use, went through those same processes multiple times, and we've come back with this. The reason why it has some dated information is because this is things that were talked about for over 5 years, and we wanted to be inclusive of all of the voices of the people who have voiced concerns that don't have anything to do with Breonna Taylor, that have their own documented issues. And I've also said that active police officers were a part of this process too. And so when we put this together, that's what it was for, to bring it forth in that way. I am never ever a person that's going to try to deceive this body, that would ever lie to this body or do anything that isn't upstanding for me as an elected official. I take that very, very serious. What I'm saying to you, I'm asking for support to get this resolution passed through this committee today, and then we come back. If there's some things you want to go back and forth over the language, let's do that. But we've checked all the other boxes we needed to check, and I just want to go from there.
Yeah, just to be clear, when this first came up, to your point, you weren't on council. Now you are, and you represent Vocal Kentucky, and you kept Vocal Kentucky in here. Again, a lot have been said, amongst others, about the appearances of issues, right? So I just don't know how you get past the appearance of an issue where you represent that organization and represent council members and are passing legislation that's giving that organization that you represent say over things that, frankly, we have oversight of. Like, that's our job as the elected representative that you're paid by the taxpayers to do, is have that oversight, not Vocal Kentucky. So it's just, I don't know how nobody else, I don't know how you can't see that there's a significant, at a minimum, appearance problem on how this was drafted. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Piagentini. Councilwoman Hawkins, please.
It's kind of hard coming behind that. The People's Dissent Decree, I'm going to assume that it was not Councilwoman Parrish's dissent decree. My district was truly affected and will be by this dissent decree, and whatever it looks like, whatever is going to be in it. A little concerned about the conflict that my colleague Piagentini stated, but a lot of my constituents want to support this. They want to support this dissent decree. They've worked with Councilman Parrish Wright. So I'm going to be in support of trying to get this out of committee today.
Councilwoman Rui.
Thank you very much. So, Councilor Wright, I was in support of this when it initially came up as a concept. I think it's very important. And I sent you an extensive letter, which unfortunately I could not find in my email today, to talk about how to change the wording in it to make it something that is more likely to pass. But in its current form, I can't see that it would pass out of Metro Council. I think it needs a considerable amount of work. And noting the things in there about monitoring the negotiations for the consent decree, which the consent decree is completed. So I think this needs a lot of updating before it's going to be ready for additional discussion. So I would like to move to table this right now and work on it some more. I understand your significance of having it available for the anniversary of Breonna Taylor's death, but I really don't think it's ready right now. So I would like to table it.
Motion has been made and seconded to table this legislation. That calls for a voice vote. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All against, nay?
Nay.
Guess that calls for a roll call.
Committee Member Shanklin.
No.
It didn't pull up, no. Yes.
Chair Simon, you have 6 yes and 3 no.
So that passes the table. The motion to table is passed. Unless there's any further comments, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
We want to see more people out cycling, not just